Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to the 2021 German Studies Convocation. My name is Sabine Wilke and I'm the chair of the Department of German Studies. I would like to begin with saying that the University of Washington acknowledges the Coast Salish peoples of this land, the land which touches the shared waters of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. Very briefly on the rules for this event, please stay muted during the presentation and then unmute yourself when you are presenting. All visitors, please turn off your video functions so that we're not overloading the system. Students, faculty, and staff should leave their videos on so that we can all see each other. We will be recording the session for access reasons so that everyone can experience Convocation either live or asynchronously if they have a scheduling conflict. The department changed its name from Germanics to German Studies this year in order to make what we do more legible to our students and to the outside world. We think that this new name is more inclusive of the different perspectives, viewpoints, and methodologies that the study of German culture these days embraces. So in the name of the Department of German Studies, I welcome all attendees, graduating seniors, friends, family, partners, and supporters to this celebration, which, given the circumstances with the national pandemic still in place, needs to be conducted remotely. We all wish we could meet and greet you in person, saying goodbye to our students, wishing you all the best for the future. We're definitely excited that it looks like in the fall quarter, we will all be back to school in person. But this year's cohort will still need to graduate remotely. Last year, we produced a video. This year, we offer a remote but synchronous experience and hope that it is just as meaningful for you as a face-to-face event would have been. And please excuse any technical difficulties that we might encounter. We try our best, but we still struggle with the technology even after more than a year of practice. I certainly do. Let me start with a round of thank yous that goes out to everybody involved in this endeavor. And let me start with the instructors of remote classes. None of us were prepared initially. Last spring, we shifted from face-to-face instruction to online learning basically within a week of practicing. This meant learning and constantly adapting to new technologies and preparing course materials for the online environment. Special thanks go to all instructors, but particularly to Professor Klaus Brandl and our lead TA, Matthew Childs, who adapted the instructional materials for every single language class to the new pedagogical challenges. All professors and graduate students rose to that challenge, did not give up, tackled daily setbacks, in some instances even had positive things to report about student learning. The office staff performed a wonderfully supportive job, and I wish to thank them in the name of the entire department. The other round of thank yous goes to you, our students, whom we're here to celebrate. From the feedback I received after remote learning, I know about remote learning, I know that students would have much preferred to meet with their instructors and fellow Huskies in person. And we certainly hope that this will be possible again in the future. But I wanted to thank you for your extraordinary patience and flexibility that you showed in adapting to this new technology and learning style, where small group discussion and partner exercises in seminars and the language classroom were enabled by Zoom breakout rooms, online chats, and question and answer functions. We prevailed because of you, and thanks to your cooperation. We thank you for that. Last but not least, I would like to thank our graduates' families, network of friends and supporters who made it possible for them to attend the University of Washington through financial and/or emotional support that is so vital in everyone's development at this crucial stage. Students and teachers in the Department of German Studies at the University of Washington are a close-knit community where we support each other. Most of the events that we all cherish so much, the weekly Monday afternoon Kaffeestunde, Tuesday departmental lunches, the Wednesday night film series, Friday afternoon lectures and events, end of quarter study slams, German club activities, or simply the daily greetings in the hallway all had to be replaced by virtual events. As opposed to the big majors on campus, we pride ourselves to be a department where every student is greeted, often by name, and is never just an anonymous number. We thrive when we come together as a community and support each other as we all share a passion for language learning and the value of intercultural and multicultural literacy in an ever more global world. By becoming a German major or minor, you chose to open yourself up to very unfamiliar things and ways of operating. Perhaps you even traveled abroad and interacted with people from other cultures when this was still possible. Not everyone has the courage to do that. I congratulate you on this achievement and hope that we were able to make a difference in your educational trajectory. We also hope that you will continue on this path to knowledge, openness for other perspectives, and a passion for learning. We start our short program with a graduation address by Deputy General Consul of Germany, Elena Sims, from the San Francisco General Consulate. Elena holds a degree in cultural studies from the University of Lüneburg. She has extensive experiences with international engagement, including study abroad in Chile, an internship at the German Embassy in Costa Rica, and a junior fellowship at the Women's Museum in Hanoi. She joined the Foreign Service in 2012 and served as first secretary in the embassy in Lima, Peru, from 2013 to 2016. And then back in Berlin, she was involved with the Office of Strategy and Planning of Germany's Foreign Cultural and Educational Policy Bureau from 2016 to 2020, and then joined the General Consulate in San Francisco as Deputy General Consul. We are very honored to have such high-level interest on the part of German diplomacy at our event today. Please join me in welcoming Consul Sims to our graduation. I very much look forward to what she has to say to this year's graduating class. Elena, go ahead and unmute yourself. Floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's really great to see you all here on screen, even though I really would have loved to come in person, because that would have been my first trip to the state of Washington. But maybe, hopefully, in the future, I might see one or two of you again, or even more. So the ones that might continue their educational journey. Yeah, dear members of the Department of German Studies, liebe Sabine, dear family and friends, und natürlich ganz besonders liebe Absolventinnen und Absolventen, dear graduates. Yeah, as already said it, thank you very much for having me today. It's really an honor, and I'm delighted to share this very important day in your lives with you. The German language has the reputation of being a difficult one. It's not for the faint-hearted, nor for the easily discouraged. As Mark Twain once put it, he said for a long time he did not know what eternity existed for. Then, as he began to study German, he realized that eternity actually has a function, and that it had been invented to give some people the chance to learn German after all. But all of you have proven that it's possible to learn German in a much shorter period of time. Nonetheless, it takes courage, dedication, and commitment to take on such an endeavor. And since you worked so hard over the past years to acquire or hone your German skills, I just have to seize the opportunity to share a few words in German with you. Als allererstes möchte ich euch zu eurem Abschluss gratulieren. Das ist euer Erfolg, das ist euer Tag und ihr habt wirklich allen Grund, euch zu freuen und stolz auf das Erreichte zu sein. Und ja, viele Jahre habt ihr auf dieses Ziel hingearbeitet und es war sicherlich nicht immer einfach. Und insbesondere das letzte Jahr war wohl für uns alle ganz, ganz besonders herausfordernd. Ich bin mir aber sicher, wenn ihr später einmal auf diese Zeit zurückschaut, dann werdet ihr schnell erkennen, dass dies auch eine ungeheuer reiche Zeit war, in der ihr nicht nur viel gelernt, sondern auch hoffentlich sehr viele Erfahrungen gesammelt habt. Besonders im Gedächtnis bleiben werden euch sicherlich eure Auslandsaufenthalte in Deutschland und oder in Österreich, während derer ihr hoffentlich sehr, sehr viele Freunde gewonnen habt, die euch ein Leben lang begleiten werden. And for the sake of the exclusively English speakers amongst us, I will switch back to English now, because I also wanted to dedicate some words to you, dear family and friends, and dear members of the Department of German Studies. I would like to express my gratitude for all of your efforts, commitment, and support. Without it, this would probably be a much, much smaller graduation class. Rest assured, all these efforts have been worthwhile. Having an international mindset and being able to look at challenges from different perspectives are key competences in today's world. And with your intercultural and your language skills, and of course, with your BA, you have received the entrance ticket to a successful future. Whether you use it to enter the job market or you use it to pursue a different academic degree, whatever you, dear graduates, decide, I really hope that your further paths will always be closely connected to the German language and to Germany. In diesem Sinne, ich wünsche euch ganz, ganz viel Freude und Erfolg auf eurem weiteren Lebensweg. In this sense, I wish you much joy and success on your further journey through life. This is your life. Make it count. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena. Those were inspiring words for our graduates. Thank you so much. We are now proceeding to honor our graduates in this remote ceremony, and I invite my colleague Jason Groves, who is the undergraduate program coordinator, to take over. Instead of a handshake, the handing of certificates, etc., certificates and a small gift will be sent to your homes. So, Jason.
Thank you very much, Sabina. Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Groves, and I'm the undergraduate program coordinator, the ad hoc honors advisor, and assistant professor of German studies. It is my pleasure and distinct honor to present the graduating class of 2021. All of us here know that this class has faced unprecedented challenges due to the ongoing pandemic and the compounding crises that it has amplified. Against this backdrop, the accomplishments of the graduating class are all the more impressive, not least of which is graduation itself. I could go on and on singing the praises of each of you, and I would, except that if the metrics of my recorded lectures give any indication, no one would be watching after about 10 minutes. So I'm going to keep it brief and say that in my 6 years of teaching here, this class has set the bar higher than any class before it. I'm not only talking about academic accomplishments of our double majors and triple minors, and the fact that our majors have a higher ratio of nominees for the Dean's Medal than any other department in the whole College of the Arts and Sciences. I'm also talking about the remarkably high levels of community engagement and political activism of our graduating students and their proven ability to affect societal transformation. We, your instructors, have learned a great deal from all of you, and we are truly honored and grateful for the opportunity to have had you in our courses. The department has a long-standing tradition of asking graduates to share anecdotes to 3 questions. And the questions are, what is a fond memory or something that you liked about your time in Germanics? What is a fond memory or something you liked about your time at the University of Washington? And what are your plans for the future? And the future could be understood broadly from the summer, the following year, And we invited playful and fantastic responses as well. And I'm going to actually drop those into the chat, and I'll say why in 1 minute. So this year, like previous years, we asked students to participate in this tradition, and the majority responded, even though it was not obligatory this year. Some students will read their responses, and in some cases, I will read their responses. And in some cases, students, I might not have students' responses. So if you want to share them in an ad hoc way, I invite you to do that. Okay, so let's advance forward. So the first student we're going to recognize is Kendra Berry, who majored in German studies and had 3 minors. Kendra, are you there?
I'm here.
And would you like me to read your responses, or would you like to read them?
I'd rather you do it.
Okay, thank you. Just checking. So in response to a question about a fond memory or something you liked about your time in Germanics, Kendra responded, how creatively we interacted with literature. I love the projects that encouraged immersion in these texts to create new characters or variations of tropes, like in Professor Uma's class about medieval literature, or Professor Wiggins' Heroes and Heroines, and how even papers, like the ones Professor Block assigned, never had dull prompts. As far as a fond memory about your time at UW, Kendra responds, being on such a beautiful and massive campus, there was always something interesting going on. I miss walking around and being able to drop into public lectures or grab a cup of coffee at Parnassus. In terms of future plans, Kendra writes that this summer I have many hopes and dreams. I plan to read books without looking for deeper meaning or context. Parentheses, is this a skill that can even be turned off? And maybe finally seeing people in person. I see some people shaking, some of my colleagues shaking their head. I'm very sorry about that. So let's please join me in wishing Kendra Berry congratulations. Next, Clara Coyote. Clara, I believe you indicated you would like to read responses. Did I get that correct?
I am realizing I cannot find where I wrote those original responses, but you have them. So if you would go ahead and read those, I'd really appreciate it.
I can absolutely do that. Okay, let me just jump back. Okay. So, a fond memory of my time in Germanics at UW, Claire writes, was participating in Professor Wiggins' class on German theater, in which we put on a feminist rendition of Leonce and Lena. I remember that. We performed in the basement of Denny Hall, memorized all lines word for word, including old-timey German, and even put notes to a fictional song, which I sang as a puppet tied up in string attached to the stairway railing. It was the weirdest thing I've done while being dead serious, and really satisfying to dive so deeply into a German work of art. Let me just pause and say, I hope all of our students can say of their courses in Germanics, it was the weirdest thing I've done while being dead serious. Thanks. A fond memory, Clara writes, from my time at UW was actually trying to be weird for comedy purses on stage with my improv troupe, The Collective. We translated our entire craft online for the pandemic with no blueprint, and it pushed us creatively and emotionally to new levels of innovation and trust. If you have any links to any recordings of that, feel free to drop that in the chat. Plans for the near future include using a grant from the Jackson School to pursue mutual aid work in University District serving unhoused neighbors. This work will include engaging in networks of fundraising, distribution, meal cooking, and gardening. Long-term, I hope to live in Deutschland at some point in the future. Please join me in wishing Clara congratulations. Okay. Next, Aaron Gut, who is Aaron, are you here right now on my little computer screen I'm having to cycle through? Okay. So unfortunately, I do not have responses to these questions for Erin, but please, since this will be recorded and Erin might be watching later, please join me in wishing Erin congratulations on graduation. Next, Grayson Jones, major German studies. And I have to say, sorry, I should not pick favorites, but this is the favorite portrait photo. We solicited portrait photos from all students. That's the bike locker where I would lock my bike up every day, right behind Denny Hall. So Grayson writes, one of the most memorable moments in German was in 311 with Professor Wiggins when we recreated scenes from one of the plays we read in class. It was a lot of fun, and the preparation for the scene did not feel like homework at all. Grayson writes, I like that most of the people I talked to at UW were easygoing and willing to make conversation with complete strangers. Not at all typical of the so-called Seattle Freeze. For Grayson's future plans, I plan to take a gap year and apply for graduate school for physical therapy. In the meantime, I plan to hike all over Washington and Canada. And I can say, based on other portraits that people send over, he might find some good hiking companions from this department. So please join me in wishing Grayson congratulations. Okay, I have to say I do not have responses to these questions for all of our majors, but we did have an exceedingly large, for the size of our department, number of majors this year, and they were all exceptional. And Olivia, who majored in German studies and international studies with a minor in European studies, would you like to share some thoughts and your responses to these questions?
I can. I don't know if they'll align with what I wrote because I don't really remember. But for the first response, I just remember my first quarter at UW being a terrified little freshman and walking into a German class I had signed up for on a whim, and being welcomed by 9 of my peers, so very small class, and it was still terrifying, but just that sort of intimacy and being able to recognize pretty much everyone in the department is really special. So I'm going to miss being able to see everyone in person every day, but that was probably one of my favorite memories. And then for UW in general, I also related to German studies, I guess, too, but being able to study abroad in Vienna with such a great group of people was really special. And then as for what I'm doing next, I'm going to spend this year just working and exploring the Pacific Northwest.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing those responses. Please, everyone, join me in wishing Olivia congratulations. And next up, Patty Unakul. Patty majored in German studies and history, and I believe would like to share some responses to these questions. If you're there, Patty.
Yeah. Okay. So my most unforgettable memory with the UW Department of German Studies was the Spring in Vienna study abroad program. Not only did I have the opportunity to visit several of the most magnificent cities in the world, but I also had a chance to build lifelong friendships, cultivate my personal development, and discover new curiosities. And the program also taught me how to willingly adapt to diversified environments, embrace diversity, and be ready to face new challenges. And these are some of the life skills beyond academic competence that I have acquired through the program and also the department. And I also would like to thank Professor Kai Tarasi, Professor Jason Grove, Professor Elwood Wiggins, Professor Brando Chase-Ambris, and Professor Bridget Prudy for your guidance and kindness. And most importantly, I would like to thank Professor Klaus Brandl and Dr. Federica for not only teaching, but also taking care of me during the Spring in Vienna program. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you very much, Patty. And please join me in giving warm congratulations to Patty. Next, we have Harry Weldon. Harry's pictured here, I think, on one of my favorite, if not my favorite, hiking trails in the world. Harry majored in German studies and environmental studies. And let me just check my notes. Yeah, I have some responses from Harry, but let me double check if Harry's here. I don't want to speak on behalf of someone if they don't
Yeah,
want me to.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. Sorry, I'm on mobile, so yeah, I might not answer the prompts exactly correct, but
That's fine. We just want to hear
yeah.
from you.
Yeah, no, I probably some of my favorite memories, Cafe Stunda for sure. Really enjoyed that every week, playing the games and talking about random stuff. And yeah, no, as Olivia was kind of saying earlier, so I took German in high school, so I had some experience with it before coming to UW, but it really gave me a good sense of community because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I got here, but I knew I wanted to do German, and I came here and I felt at home immediately. So that was definitely good for me. And then favorite experience of UW? I'm not exactly sure. Probably, Cafe Stunde, German Club. Yeah, a lot of that stuff would be good.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing, Harry. Is that, by the way, is that in the enchantments, that photo that we're looking at?
I believe it's at Tuck and Robbins Lake.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly. That was last summer. I believe it's near the enchantments, but I'll have to get back to you.
It looks beautiful wherever it is. Everyone, please join me in giving Harry wishing Harry congratulations. Okay, Kyle Wong, majors German studies and history. I have responses from Kyle, who said he would probably not going to be able to attend.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Excellent. Would you like to share your responses, or would you like me to?
I would, but I also just I don't know where I saved them, or I don't know if I actually saved them at all. So maybe I'll have you do it.
Okay. You're also
Thank you.
welcome to ad lib if you'd like, but you had really, I have to say, very developed, articulate responses. So I'd be happy to read those for you too.
Sure.
In response to, so participating in Spring in Vienna, there's a trend here, everyone. Participating in Spring in Vienna was Kyle's best memory in German studies, or I should say the most fond and impactful memory. And here I'm reading. First, interacting with German speakers and being able to utilize the language in practical situations brought my command over the language to a new level faster than I ever thought possible. More importantly, however, this program gave me the opportunity to create profound friendships with my fellow participants, whether it was taking weekend trips to Budapest and Venice, or feeling the joy of eating cheap and delicious gelato. My fellow participants and I experienced all the intricacies, stresses, and excitements of studying abroad together, which bound us even closer. And so these friendships are definitely one of the most important takeaways I have from Germanics, besides learning the language, of course. A fond memory I have from my time at UW was that before COVID, I used to take naps in Suzzallo Library between classes. The library, with its large couches and its ambient sounds, provided the perfect atmosphere for perhaps some of the best naps I've ever had in my life. I do feel bad, however, as I would occasionally snore so loud that I would jolt myself awake. I can only imagine how much louder it would have been for the people around me who weren't asleep. After I graduate, I plan to work for a year or two, hopefully in positions that are relevant either to my German studies or history major or both. This will allow me to continue to develop my interests in these fields and gain some practical experience using the knowledge I've gained from my studies. Then I plan to return to academics and earn a master's degree in education and start a career in teaching. Please join me in wishing Kyle congratulations. And we also had a number of minors in Germanics, and Leo Linder has responded, who majored in biology, provided some responses to these questions too. Leo, would you like me to share these, or would you like to?
I can speak.
Sure.
I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think it's probably better if I just say something, whatever comes. But to the first question, I think when I first came as a freshman, I was very similar to Olivia's story, very intimidated by brand new school, kind of walking in, and I signed up for German classes because I knew that was, if I'm going to take one thing from my undergrad, I want to at least have some proficiency in German. And I walked into the class and it was so welcoming, so much fun. And then that kind of carried on throughout the rest of my academic career. I could take German classes as almost like a break from my STEM classes. And it always felt so fun, so welcoming. And going to Kaffeestunde when I could, it was always very pleasant. And I have good memories of that. And then similar to Kyle, doing study abroad in Vienna, that was probably one of the best memories from the entire undergrad experience. I think I definitely had a profound impact on who I am now and my confidence in German and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just, I'm very glad that in the end, I chose to continue with German and stay in the program.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was going to say for my future plans, I'll be taking a year off
plans.
And then probably pursuing more more schooling. But
it's great that to hear students are not done with schooling and are not done with academia even after 4 years of our classes. Please join me in wishing Leo congratulations on his degree. So we wanted to showcase our undergraduate students, and I want to thank you all for sharing these testimonies. I also would like to recognize, I would like to recognize Meredith as well, who had shared a photo and some responses as well to these questions. Meredith, would you like to share some thoughts about fond memories at UW and future plans?
So my absolute fondest memory in the German department was definitely Kaffeestunde, especially when I was in the 200 series with Kai. That just it made me feel so much more comfortable in the language, and when I had taken a few quarters off of German. So that's something that I will always be happy that I started going to. And then my best memory at UW was when I studied abroad my sophomore year. I, unlike everyone else, did not do the Spring in Vienna program. I was with CHID in the Czech Republic, but that was amazing. And my future plans right now are to take a few years off of school and then hopefully come back to UW and get my master's in library science.
Excellent, excellent. Please, everyone, join me in congratulating Meredith today. And all of those who do return to campus, please let us know. We would be so happy to support any future scholarly, academic, etc. endeavors, particularly on this campus. I want to also recognize additional graduates today who either were not in attendance or did not share responses to these questions. If you're there, if your name happens to be on here and you're there, please don't hesitate to blurt out and share a fond memory or two. But additional majors, Lane Lindblom and Natanya Wollman. Additional minors in German studies, Maxine Appel, Jessica Porter, Angelica Runstadler, and Philip Wallace. Please join me in giving these and all graduates a very warm round of applause or other emojis to recognize their major accomplishments today. Okay, so this concludes the recognition. This concludes the graduating class. There will be future, a little bit later in the program, recognition of some individual students for particularly large accomplishments. But right now, I would like to hand the proverbial floor over to my colleague, Professor Elwood Wiggins, who will present the graduation of MAs and PhDs.
Thanks so much, Jason, and congratulations to all of the undergraduates. I'm so proud of you guys. So yeah, it's making me tingle to see you kind of walk across this virtual screen, which I'm trying to figure out how to share. You would think that after all this time I would know. Did that work? Okay, I no longer can see anyone because I optimized my screen for video, which means that I am flying blind now. Unfortunately, I can't see your faces. But I'm very pleased to and proud to be introducing our two graduates with graduate degrees here in Germany this year. So we have one person graduating with a Master of Arts in Pedagogy and Culture, that's Anshuang Yang, and then a Doctor of Philosophy in German Studies, Vanessa Hester. And I'll first say a little bit about Anshuang. Before coming to the University of Washington, Anshuang got an MA in German actually at the Philipps-Marburg Universität in Germany. And she also spent time teaching at Penn State University as a German instructor. Anshuang has been working in our MA in Pedagogy and Culture. That means that she's learning how to be an even better teacher than she already is. And as part of that program, she worked on a capstone project. Her focus there was on how to teach pronunciation in language learning, something that I'm sure all of you as German learners will appreciate help with. So please contact Anshuang if you have questions about how to get that E or that exactly right. Anshuang, as I said, is graduating with a Master of Arts in Pedagogy and Culture. And she sent this photo of her computer as she was teaching a class this year. And I think it really speaks to her excellence as a teacher, because as you know, as all of us in this crazy year, we've had to transition to teach online and to learn how to try to support students through this virtual medium, learn to try to create some kind of learning community in this way. And I think Anshuang has done a marvelous job of that, especially considering that since this past summer, she has been back in China, in Beijing, where she is from. And so she has been teaching in the middle of the night, as well as having to take classes of her own in her master's program. So it's been quite a challenge also for her in terms of just navigating the time world of the pandemic. I'm very pleased to be able to congratulate Anshuang on receiving the Master of Arts in Pedagogy and Culture. We were delighted that you were part of our program. It was much too short. We wish you could have spent more time here in Seattle with us, but we are very happy that you were able to connect as much as you could virtually. We're also delighted to be sending off Vanessa Hester with a new PhD in German studies. Before coming to Seattle to study German, as you can see, Vanessa was an expert in English and American literature and culture. She graduated with a BA in Cultural Studies from Magdeburg University in Sachsen-Anhalt, part of Germany that I have a special fondness for. It's where I was first an exchange student. And she also graduated from Magdeburg University with an MA in Anglophone Cultural Studies. And I think you can see her love for American culture here in these two pictures. One of her projects is in as the world opens up after COVID, is to visit every one of the major league stadiums in America. You can see her here at the Dodger Stadium, and I think that's the White Sox Stadium in Chicago. So also before coming to UW, she had an MA in English literature at the University of Idaho. So she was already familiar with the Pacific Northwest before she decided to make this a more permanent home. And we're very delighted that she did so in our program, where she focused really on environmental studies in her research. And you can see here this, I think maybe it was a trip to Leavenworth that reconnected her with her German roots. There's genuine German roots that you get in Leavenworth. It brought her back to a German program here at the University of Washington, where since being here, she has had 2 publications in environmental studies in German literature. One here is Aufzeichnungen aus dem Anthropozän, die Darstellung von Klimawandel in Elia Trojanovs Eistal. This means something like remarks from the Anthropocene, the representation of climate change in Elia Trojanov's novel. In English, I think it's called The Lamentations of Zeno. And then she also has another publication called Die Schranken zwischen Mensch und Tier fallen sehr leicht. Die Wandlung der weiblichen Protagonistin in Marlene Haushofers Die Wand, which means something like the limits or the boundaries between animal and human fall very easily or very lightly. The transformation of the female protagonist in Marlene Haushofer's novel, The Wall. Her dissertation that she worked on and wrote and defended recently is called Invisible Dangers, the presentation of modern environmental threats and the Anthropocene in contemporary German literature. She worked on this with Sabine Wilke as her main advisor. I was honored to be a member of the committee, so I got to see this project kind of develop from its early stages to a really impressive examination of how environmental dangers, these invisible dangers, as you see in the title, how they are represented, how they are made manifest in literature, which is, as you all know, a very important task for the arts nowadays. As you can see, Vanessa enjoyed not only the intellectual climate of the University of Washington, but also the food and the drinks and the people. We also enjoyed her friendship and her companionship and her being a colleague. She was a wonderful teacher, and we are delighted that she was able to spend this time with us. We're sad that she's leaving, but we are proud and happy that she's going on to great new things. Vanessa also has shared some words with us for the commencement ceremony. And so now I will leave the rest of the speaking for this segment to her. And let me see if I can If you guys can't hear this, please shout and let me know, because I can't see you. So please do so audibly, okay? Thanks.
Good afternoon to the graduating class of 2021, to the faculty, staff, and students of the Department of German Studies, and good afternoon to everyone else who decided to join our virtual convocation. Never had I imagined that graduation day would look like this. I did not expect to be recording my speech on my laptop in a corner of my living room. But if we have learned anything in the past 15 or 16 months, then it is to expect the unexpected. I vividly remember the morning when we received the email from the university that we're moving to online classes for a while. I remember the initial excitement of having some additional time to work on my dissertation while not having to commute to campus. And while these times at home have helped me to finish my dissertation slightly ahead of my own time schedule, I also would have not thought that I'd still be sitting here in the corner of my living room. Graduating in 2021 feels weird. While I know that the class of 2020 was faced with a similar anticlimactic ending to their college years, then our pandemic lives were still something to get used to, something we believed would be over sooner than later. But here we are, still nor cap or gown, no graduation picture, no in-person convocation ceremony. Some mornings when I wake up, I actually even wonder if I graduated, because it is so difficult to comprehend that we have completed this huge milestone without all the things that we typically associate with a college graduation. But class of 2021, we did it. While we maybe wish we could have accomplished our big goal under different circumstances, we nevertheless did it. We showed resilience and we persisted. Our degree is proof of our determination to accomplish our goals, even when things become really, really difficult. During the past 5.5 years in the department, I have made very fond memories that have helped me grow as a teacher, but even more as a person. When Elle would ask me about my highlights, the first things that come to my mind were experiences from teaching language classes at the UW. I fondly remember my German 203 class in the spring of 2017 with such a remarkable and unforgettable group of students. 2 of them even graduating today together with me. A special congrats here to Lane and Clara. I remember how half of the class would join me for Kaffeestunde on Monday afternoons, where we would sit outside in the grass in front of Danny Hall, chatting about class, playing games in German, or just discussing questions that were on students' minds. Being able to help students improve their language skills over weeks and months and witness their overall growth firsthand has been one of the most rewarding experiences of being at the UW. I also remember my first online class in the fall quarter of 2020 and how the growing fatigue of living through a pandemic and going to online university affected students' performances, but even more so their emotions. It was then when I was often more a listener than a teacher. It was humbling to have students share their personal struggles and stories with me, and I'm glad when I could make them feel better, even when it was just for a moment. Another thing that comes to my mind when thinking of my time at the UW Department of German Studies are the people. I found lifelong friends who will remain in my life even after graduation. I have also experienced firsthand what great mentorship means. My advisors, Sabine Wilke, and my dissertation committee with Jason Groves and Elwood Wiggins have showed me how to support students and help them grow. I can only wish that one day I will have the opportunity to become such a good mentor myself. Another person that has helped me so much and I've become close to is Stephanie Welsh. If someone is holding the department together, then it is Steph. She does so much for the department, designing course posters, helping organize events, doing all the administrative tasks that it is often difficult to know what Steph doesn't do. Not only did Stephanie help me put the finishing touches on my dissertation when she edited my writing chapter by chapter, but she also became my go-to person, especially in this last year. Whenever I felt things were becoming too difficult or overwhelming, I could turn to Steph for some advice and some encouragement. And while I would have loved to do that while sitting in her office having a cup of coffee with her, despite the physical distance, she never seemed too far away, but she was always there for me. Now, after more than 5.5 years, I feel sad but content leaving the department. While I've made the decision for myself to pursue a career outside of academia, I will never forget how my years in the PhD program have shaped me. Our degrees are more than a piece of paper that represents our academic excellence, but it's proof for our persistence. Congratulations to everyone in the class of 2021.
Absolutely. So please join me in congratulating both Antoine Gang and Vanessa Hester. We're so proud of you. And I think what's next? Let's see.
I can take it from here, I think, Elwood.
Oh, great. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks so much, Elwood, for those thoughtful remarks, and congratulations to our new MA and PhDs. So for this segment, I would like to. This segment is for undergraduate recognitions, and I would like to kick that off by recognizing Clara Coyote for making the Husky 100, which, if you don't know, recognizes, yes, thank you, ferocious round of applause, which recognizes 100 UW undergraduates and graduate students who are making the most of their time at the UW. So this is the whole campus. This is 100 people from the whole campus. I will say too that we did have another student from our department who made that list, but they're not graduating this year. So Clara received this award for, in her words, studying injustices on a large scale through the UW Center for Human Rights, and as an elected ASUW student government leader fighting for equity for students. I can also add on a personal note that Clara was the undergraduate representative of the German Studies Curriculum Committee, which I chair, and we were very grateful for your advocacy for a more inclusive and equitable curriculum. So please join me in wishing Clara congratulations for this huge recognition. One other recognition that I would like to highlight as well is Olivia Nichols, who completed departmental honors in German studies. And what this honor entails is the completion of a substantial honors project in 4 or more upper division courses and in close consultation with faculty in those courses. The honor also entails the demonstration of academic excellence in major coursework and in the projects themselves. I've invited Olivia to share some of her honors work, which demonstrates academic excellence, but also remarkable creativity in the project design. So Olivia, you should be able to share your screen. Let me know if that's not possible. All right, yeah, so please give us an overview. Tell us what you were up to in your honors work.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to take a second to thank everyone in the German Studies Department for their insight, flexibility, input, and compassion. That all made it possible to complete departmental honors, especially during these tough times. So I sort of saw the projects as a gateway into a deeper understanding of the course's topics, as well as a way to explore some of my other interests, including representation, gender studies, and media studies, all sort of culminating to some extent in my last project, which took a look back at my journey thus far. My first project was an essay on gender, madness, and violence in the works we read in class, so Medea and Amelia Galotti. This was accompanied by a magazine cover, which seemed like a good way to shine a light on how gender roles and societal norms are constructed and in turn reinforce each other. My second project was a video essay for Vienna at the turn of the century. This essay centered on the theme of appearance versus reality, and how the film The Grand Budapest Hotel took inspiration from the works of Stefan Zweig to create this beautiful yet melancholy story. It was really fun to examine the themes and visual elements from one of my favorite movies, and especially to draw on connections that we made in class to sort of this constructed image that we have of the past. My third project also involved film, and it served as a great opportunity to watch Monty Python for a college project. So with that said, it was also a project on how the Middle Ages and specifically how love in the Middle Ages is portrayed and comes across to modern audiences. The comparison between three different films set in this time period, and how drastically these representations of the past differ, makes you re-examine sort of how our own conceptualizations of the past are constructed, as well as how we conceptualize modernity. And then my last project was a more personalized approach to an honors project for the class German through Song. I quite directly traced my own learning through song. So this project sort of spans songs specifically about German grammar, songs that I still resort to today in conversations, as well as songs satirizing the German pop industry, as well as songs that tackle relevant issues of xenophobia, racism, and the state of German politics. This project felt like a culmination of all that I've learned over the last few years, and it sort of touched on a lot of the courses I've taken, as well as all the people that have been a part of this experience. So with that being said, it also serves as a stark reminder that I am still on this journey of learning and discovery. So again, thank you to everyone at the department, as well as all my peers, for making the last few years fruitful and joyful. And I can't wait to see where everyone's heading next.
All right, please join me in giving Olivia a warm congratulations for completion of honors in the department. And thanks for sharing these too. I mean, in most of our classes, we are able to see, everyone's able to see what their final projects are, but for these are not always showcased during the class. So thanks for sharing that with all of us, for doing this really vital work. Okay, so now I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Professor Annegret Oehme, for some additional recognitions.
Thank you, Jason. Congratulations to everybody. As Vanessa pointed out, it might feel weird, it might not feel real, but you did it and you should really celebrate. It's my great pleasure to speak to you today about Kendra Berry, the winner of the MacLean Prize. Kendra Berry has also been nominated for the College of Arts and Science Dean's Medal, as well as the Straum Center Award for Outstanding Student in Jewish Studies. All these recognitions could not be more deserved. I met Kendra as a student first in my medieval literature class in 2017, and over the following quarters, I had so much opportunity to get to know this inquisitive, smart, and hardworking student better. I was trying to remember correctly, but either Kendra brought her brother Aaron to take one of these classes, or Aaron brought Kendra. But it was fun having two siblings even take classes. But from the beginning, I was impressed by the way Kendra engaged with material so unfamiliar in the Middle Ages to her and to us in the 21st century. When Kendra approached me about supervising an internship, I was completely astonished. All by herself, she managed to get an internship at the Willy Brandt House in Berlin, the center of the German SPD, the Central Workers' Party. Kendra announced to me that she had been able to secure this internship, which is almost impossible to get even for a German student. This is even more significant as she did not just manage to get this spot, but also to impress the managing director, who kept increasing the range of Kendra's duties. In the context of her internship, Kendra explored the role of mining for the former GDR and its impact on the identity on East German residents, a paper she, of course, wrote in German. Kendra has not only been working on her German, but also on her Yiddish skills. Supported by the Straum Center, she seized opportunities to improve her Yiddish language skills outside of UW, such as by participating in the renowned Yiddish summer school in Warsaw in summer 2018. This opportunity led to a paper in which Kendra explored the complicated history of Yiddish and its perception within the German-speaking communities. But Kendra is not just happy with acquiring knowledge, she really represents our ideals in the humanities by applying her skills for the good of others. Kendra is passionate about giving voice to the persecuted minorities of the Uyghurs in China, their language and culture. Through a set of short papers, Kendra applied her expertise in Yiddish language and trauma studies to this new context with the goal of developing a theoretical framework to understand the current situation of the Uyghurs. And I'm sorry, I'm still struggling. The pronunciation in German is completely different. In German, we say Uiguren. So I'm really sorry if I completely mispronounce it in English. Kendra's assumption is that if we applied what we know about Yiddish and genocide, we could identify better what is happening to the Uyghurs at this moment, helping to preserve their language and culture, and most importantly, saving lives. And it's incredible to have seen Kendra's progress from her first studies in medieval German literature to applying the study of the humanities to better people's lives. She's planning to further work on this project in the context of her master's in Germany at the University of Hamburg, where she will be part of the Manuscript Cultures program. Her study there is supported by yet another highly renowned program, the German Academic Exchange Program, DAAD, which she won. Kendra is a student who embodies what we hope for each of our students. She is taking the study of literature and language, made it her own, and is looking for ways for others to benefit from it. Kendra's quest for knowledge is not self-indulgent, but rather altruistic. She's more than a model student, as she's taken the opportunity she's been given and found new challenges to expand her horizon and the breadth of her studies. And it's been an incredible pleasure working with Kendra. She will be missed, but I cannot wait to see what she will be doing in the future. Thank you. I do not know whom to give the baton to.
Hi.
I can
Hi.
Thank you, Annegret. Thank you so
Sorry.
much.
Oh, good.
I'm going to share my screen, and like Elle, we're going to see if it works this one final time, right? So just give me 1 second. Oh, can we see? Can we see? Very good. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so good afternoon. My name is Kai Tarasi, and it is my pleasure to pay tribute to one of our very distinguished students, Patty Unekun. Patty is the recipient of the McLean Prize for Excellence in German, and she is also a nominee for the 2021 Dean's Medal. And I have been inspired by all of our students' amazing creative projects. And so I put together a very brief digital scrapbook for Patty to showcase some of the highlights of her time in our department. Every professor who has had the opportunity to work with Patty has praised the meticulous quality of her work, her remarkable skill in analyzing literature, film, and art, and her excellent command of the German language, both spoken and written. She has truly been an exceptional member of our academic community. Some of Patty's favorite memories of her time at UW were actually not spent at UW, but rather in Vienna. She was a member of the 2019 Spring in Vienna Study Abroad program led by Professor Klaus Brandl. And during their time abroad, the group visited the UN, countless museums, attended the opera and other musical performances, and learned to navigate daily life in a new environment. Patty really treasures these experiences and has said that her time in Vienna contributed to her personal development and helped her to build lifelong friendships. And speaking of lifelong friendships, here she is pictured with Kyle Wong, another member of Spring in Vienna and one of our fantastic majors who is also graduating. And Kyle describes Patty as the heart and soul of their study abroad group. She organized their excursions, supported and checked up on other members who needed help, and was always elevating the mood of the group with her warm and cheerful demeanor. And Patty and Kyle also collaborated on compelling projects for my 2020 German 351 course. So here is an example of a drawing Patty did that accompanied an exciting article she wrote on the evolution of artistic styles in Vienna through the lens of architecture. And it was a fantastic project that she did and presented on. So clearly, Patty excelled in her work on literature, history, and culture, but as evidence of her vast talents and flexibility as a student, she now plans to pivot away from the study of humanities and attend medical school. And her final project for my Vienna course seemed to foreshadow her new path. Back in 2020, she wrote a mock newspaper article in which she provided a brilliant analysis of Klimt's university painting, Medicine. And she discussed its controversial depiction of the science of healing and its limits in counteracting humankind's pain. So her turn to medical school is actually catalyzed by a deep desire to use her skills in medicine to support and raise up her community. And in contradiction to the title of her journal article, we are certain that Patty will find ways to alleviate suffering in the world. So we've all been inspired by Patty's contributions to our program, and we are so proud of her as she takes the next steps to pursue her passion for medicine. So we say congratulations, Patty, for all of your achievements. And now I will hand the stage over to my colleague, Professor Klaus Brandl.
Yeah, good afternoon. First of all, congratulations to all the graduates this year. My name is Klaus Brandl. I'm the director of the language program in our department, and it's my pleasure and my honor to introduce the Manfred Barnsleben Excellence in Teaching Award this year. I want to say a couple of words about the award first. The award was established by Professor Sabine Wilke and her husband, Rick Gray Emeritus, on behalf of Professor Emeritus Manfred Barnsleben, who served as the language program director for many, many years. The award has had a long-standing tradition, and its purpose is to award honor a graduate student for her or his performance in teaching. Let me say it up front. So that this year's award goes to Jeff Charsoom. Join me in wishing Jeff congratulations. Let me make a few comments about Jeff. Jeff joined our program 3 years ago. I remember him in my 2 methodology seminars and observing him and working with him throughout the first year while he was teaching, when he was teaching our first year language courses. Last year, he spent a year in Münster, where he taught courses on cultural studies, US studies, and US culture and academic writing. This year, I placed him into, asked him to teach basically primarily courses in our intermediate language program at the 200 level. If you know Jeff and if you see him teach online, you know, his desk, his office looks like really as if he's a show talk host of a huge radio station. You know, he has his camera set up, he has multiple monitors, you know, he has this amazing background. So, you know, you can tell right away, this guy really loves what he's doing. He has so much passion for teaching. and he really cares for his students. Okay, of course, I always investigate my nominees for this award very carefully. So when I looked at Jeff's student evaluation, I was really blown away. In his first year, he got almost a perfect 5.0. Well, right, it was 4.9, but which is amazing for us, for somebody in his first year of teaching to be recognized by the students with such high numbers. And this year also for one of his 2-1 classes, the 2 or 3 classes that he taught, he received a 4.7 as well. It's really amazing. Jeff not only, I mean, he has evolved kind of as our master in recruiting, I've been told as well. He told me that, or I've been told that many of his students actually show up in the Café Stunde. He has a large number of students attending series and in the German club. So I think we need to definitely put him to use next year, which we will, because he will be our the new lead chair. Join me for this award in
I have the honor of closing this segment on student recognition by introducing you to the Hanauer seminar and the Hanauer Fellows from German Studies. We owe this wonderful opportunity for cross-disciplinary graduate training to Jerry Hanauer, a Stuttgart native, then Seattle resident, business owner, and philanthropist, who created an endowment in the honor of his son, Joff. The Joff Hanauer Professorship in Western Civilization that I'm honored to hold provides the opportunity to conduct a year-long research seminar on a chosen topic with 6 select graduate students from different humanities units. This is a fantastic opportunity for conversations across different fields. The broad topic that I chose was a reflection on human exceptionalism in a world that is more and more in need of rethinking how we humans relate to the non-human world around us, animals, plants, earth, stone, etc., and how we could do that in a better and more sustainable way. Now I'm going to try to share my screen and show you. There you go. Show you, and I'm trying to do slideshow. No? Do you see it? Can you see Aaron? Okay, perfect. I'm trying to view the slideshow. There you go. So, this year's fellow, Hanauer Fellow is Aaron Carpenter. He's present also here. I've seen his name. Aaron is a PhD student in the Department of German Studies. He's currently actually a teaching assistant in the English department, teaching English composition, which is a great honor. In March, he successfully completed his PhD exams and defended his prospectus, and just a week ago or so learned that he was accepted for the publication of his first scholarly paper. So this is really a wonderful milestone year for Aaron. In his dissertation, he examines how authors from former Yugoslavia use foreign words when writing in German about the traumatic experiences of their communities. Thank you, Aaron, for being a great interlocutor. I learned a lot from you and the other fellows. And part of the 21-22 cohort from German Studies will be Anna Gerke, who's here as well, and Detlef Weber. Anna holds a BA in German Studies and Theology from the University of Münster, which is one of our exchange partners from 2016, an MA in Applied Linguistics and a Master's of Education in German and Theology, also from Münster from 2019. She joined the department in 2019 as an exchange visitor from Münster for a year and then entered the PhD program. She liked it so much here as a Max Kade Fellow. In the coming year, she will be in her 3rd year at UW and studying for her PhD exams and writing her dissertation perspectives. Anna is passionate about rhetorics and the study of how language works. In the seminar, she will focus on the analysis of politicians' speeches. And by politicians, she just doesn't have anybody in mind, but our very own Angela Merkel and her effective appeal to her listeners' affect. I very much look forward to working with Anna next year. Detlef seems to be from a very sunny place. He was born and raised in South Africa, where he went to German school in Pretoria for 12 years, then did his BA in German, history, Latin, and English, also at Pretoria, before coming to the US for his MA in German at the University of Missouri, Columbia, where he studied with a former student of ours. And he's now pursuing his PhD in German studies at UW. He just finished his 2nd year of doctoral coursework and is preparing his dissertation perspectives and PhD exams, which he hopes to take in the fall. In his dissertation, Detlef proposes to study social outcasts and wolves in medieval literature and modern literature in their ambiguity and precariousness. Wolves, as you may know, have had very negative connotations across European traditions that are well preserved in the myths and fairy tales. Let me go back to my screen. Oops, lost the screen. Oh, I have to end my show. Okay, great. I hope you all agree. We have a wonderful cohort of undergraduates and graduate students in German studies at the University of Washington. We're sad to see our graduates leave the program, but we wish them all the best in their next adventures and pursuits, and stay in touch. We love to hear from our alums what they're up to and where they're making a difference. And now let's raise a glass and toast to our graduates. Cora? Let's see. Can you see us? There you go. Come sit here. I'm joined by my own husky from 2014, Cora Wilkie-Gray, who graduated with a double major in psychology and German and is now a clinical psychologist in a rehab clinic in the Black Forest. But she's clearly not in the Black Forest right now. She's sitting next to me here in my living room in Seattle. But we haven't seen each other for the last 18 months, so that's our first visit as a vaccinated person back in the States. So our wishes go to all graduates. Go out, do good things so that the world may become a better place, and seek fulfillment of your dreams. Anything is possible if you really work at it. Enjoy your new status and let's celebrate your achievements. Cheers. Very good. Yes, this concludes our program. I'm going to leave the Zoom on for just a few minutes. If you want to hang out with each other, send a chat greeting and so forth. And otherwise, thank you so much for attending. Bye-bye.